uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off this show, as we always do, on a happy hump day edition?
Hump day!
As I call it, a whacked out Wednesday. That's a whole nother story in itself. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. At 9:30, we will have the admin of I Love St. Pete with 128,000 followers. Mr. Stan Arthur coming on to talk about what he does here with I Love St. Pete, what he has been doing into retirement, and if he's a sports fan. I know it's I Love St. Pete, so he has to be a Rays fan, right? And he also has to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, right? And then at 10 o'clock or 10:20, whenever we decide to do it, it's Turnbuckle Talk, WWE, AEW, professional wrestling talk. And as always, your phone call, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the Sports Web. It's the evolution of sports talk television. Call in, text in, tune in. So what do you think, Rays fans? Are you happy? A split with the Baltimore Orioles. And then on top of that, it's pizza time, right? Score 6 runs last night in a loss by getting down 7-0. Not necessarily what you want to do. But then today you come back with a sterling pitching performance by Taj Bradley, who, by the way, is only 22 years old. Tremendous pitching performance, a career high 6 innings today, 8 Ks. And you look inside the numbers for this kid at the end of the day, 10 starts, half of those, 8 Ks or over. Pretty good. Woo! Just saying. Pretty good. And then, of course, the man on the spot who has been the main story. Well, I don't know who that is, but that is not who we want to be calling right now. We're not going to take any spam calls while we're doing my monologue. But Randy Arozarena with 14 home runs, 50 RBIs for the season. Tampa Bay goes on to beat the Baltimore Orioles 7-2, so we can talk about that if you like. Of course, we will have the great Leo Haggerty on with us in just a little bit to talk about your Tampa Bay Rays. And then, of course, as always, we talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Levante David, with some comments about how the offense looks different. We'll get into that. Jordan Whitehead saying deja vu all over again with Aaron Rodgers. We'll get into those comments. Once again, some negativity about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we always talk about them on this show, as always. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So plenty to talk about. Let's go out to the comments really quick. Happy birthday to me. Good day. Good day to you. Happy birthday. And then let's go out to Christopher O'Reilly, Mr. Papa John himself. And that's what I was saying. When they score 6 runs, and everybody's like, well, do you have a sponsorship with Papa John's? And I'm like, no, I don't have a sponsorship with Papa John's, and I don't know who is calling me. Welcome to the Sports Web. What's your name? Where you're calling from?
Hi, I was just calling.
Okay. We're already starting with the crank calls tonight. You've got to love that. I mean, you've got to love the fact that somebody thought of me so highly that they want to crank call my my sports talk show. You got to love that. You got to love it. So, yeah, going back to it, Ray 6, when they score 6 runs, you get half off on your pizza. That's a pretty good deal. Okay, so 2 nights in a row, you get the opportunity. Of course, when they do it on the day, you can't get it. You got to get it the next day. But for Rays fans, the next 2 days are pretty sweet because you get half off on your pizza. Now, I don't work for Papa John's and don't have a sponsorship, but I'm going to start charging here if I do all this, all this promotion at the end of the day. And speaking of promotion at the end of the day, because I could see somebody's already taking advantage of it. Let's go ahead and get his intro on. Here we go. All right, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, and he is also taking advantage of the Rays 6 deal there with Papa John's. Let's go out to Mr. Leo Haggerty. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television on this whacked out Wednesday. How are you doing tonight?
I'm on the couch, Peter.
I see you on the couch. Of course, Coach John Cooper giving you that name, Tampa Bay Lightning coach. If you guys are not hockey fans out there, every time Leo asks a question, he says he's the man on the couch. And I tell you right now, the Rays were sitting pretty today with that 7-2 win. Your thoughts? Welcome to the Sports Web.
I'll tell you what, when you can throw out Glasnow, McClellan, and Elfin as your 3 starters, you're not going to have too many 4, 5, 6, 7 game losing streaks. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's just this team is built perfectly, and I don't know what they're feeding them, but keep it up because they are hitting the baseball.
Well, it might be pizza. You're feeding yourself pizza, as I saw that in the background. I mean, how many times? So let me ask you this really quick. How many times have you taken advantage of that Papa John's deal?
More than your 2 hands.
Very good. Very good.
Remember now, they've been doing it for what, 3 years now?
Have they been doing it? I didn't realize they've been doing it for 3 years.
Definitely 3 years, maybe longer. But yeah, Mrs. Haggerty went to me tonight and said, "Hey, what was the Rays score last night?" I said, "They lost 8-6. She goes, "Yeah, but they got 6. I said, "Yep."
They got 6, and I think it's more relevant this year because, once again, this offense continues to rake, including Mr. Randy Arozarena with his 14th home run today, now 50 RBIs for the season. Talk about the year he's having, and, of course, that happens in that second inning, back-to-back jacks with, of course, Paredes there working out. So talk about Randy, talk about this offense overall.
Before I talk about Randy, Paredes had what we call the Carl Crawford home run, that one in the gap where they cut that fence down in left field.
Over in the logo, the 162, yeah.
Right. I tell you what, though, Arozarena is just locked in this year. And from what I'm hearing from people, he is definitely becoming a student of the game. He is studying pitchers. He's staying on it. And I'll tell you what, Peter, I don't see this team collapsing. And again, here's what drives me nuts. If this was the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox, Los Angeles, New York, Boston, this would be the story every day on ESPN or on any other sports network. But because it's Tampa Bay, it's like the 5th, 6th, 7th. Guess what? They got 52 wins.
Yeah.
They got 52 wins before the All-Star game. That's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. All right. I guess we're going to go out to the phone lines here, and I'm not sure who this is. We'll take our chances. Welcome to the Evolution.
Yes, hello. This is Special Agent Webster.
Okay, well, there we go. You got to love that. You got to love the prank calls already starting off. Let's go ahead, go out to the comments. Ralph says, "Thank you, Leo, for calling my radio show." Congratulations, Ralph, on the new radio show. And then let's go out to Robert. Rays are not my team, but they are fun to watch. Braves and the Rays play in 2 weeks. Can't wait. And, of course, the Rays getting ready for a 4-game set with the Kansas City Royals. But going back to a lot of people didn't necessarily like how this team was playing. 3 in a row losses. Of course, 3 in a row. You snap it today. Taj Bradley being the stopper. Talk about this young man, 22 years old. And I couldn't believe this statistic today. In 10 starts, half of those starts, he has 8 Ks or more. I feel like we're kind of scratching the surface. And, I've seen his starts, and I feel like he could still develop some of those pitches because it's not always about your fastball and your curveball. It's about the secondary pitches that you have. But he had it all working today. Talk about Mr. Bradley.
Oh, absolutely. The kid's a real fine for the Rays. And again, Peter, yeah, they lost 3 in a row. They lost 2 to San Diego and 1 to Baltimore yesterday. But I'll tell you what, we need to talk about Blake Snell. He just went out and said, okay, guys, I'm going to show you what you lost.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you why you shouldn't have taken me out in World Series Game 6. And again, Peter, you and I talked about this.
Yep.
And it just shouldn't have happened. But Blake Snell was thrown at 97, 98, and then mixing in that curveball. He struck out every one of the Rays hitters at least once. That's amazing. But, when you look at what the Rays got, I mean, that's your 4th starter. He'd be a number 2 anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right now, even though he's a rookie. But and the nice thing is they got their 4 starters, and then they got their openers, which is good. The big thing is he got him 7 innings, 6, 7 innings today. Yeah. That's what needs to happen.
Well, I agree with that. And it goes back to the last start where he was dominant for the first 4 innings. And then for some reason, the proverbial wheels fell off the cart there with the 5th, with a leadoff walk. Anytime you get a leadoff walk, that doesn't necessarily help things. And then after that, he was kind of rattled and the team got to him. That was Oakland at the time. But at the end of the day, it's encouraging to see him overcome that, pitch 6 innings, and I think the sky is the limit for this kid. Let me go back out to the comments here.
Hey, Peter, real quick before you go to comments.
Yes.
I got a question for all the viewers.
Yes.
What high school is this?
I don't have any idea.
I'll give you a hint. Friday Night Lights. Let's see if anybody knows.
Oh, well, that's Texas there. But
yeah,
I don't,
what school?
Right. What school? All right, guys. If you know the answer, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the Sports Web live here on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Let's go out to Mr. Harry Berg, professional handicapper extraordinaire. Hi, little Leo, he says, as he's doing lots of gambling there in New Jersey and hopefully making that money. What do you have to say to Mr. Harry, the Greek there with the hi, little Leo?
Oompa!
There you go. And Ralph says, thank you, Peter. Absolutely, you're welcome. We got Shane McClanahan going tomorrow, 11-1 versus Kansas City. I got to read this comment, though, really quick because I thought it was pretty interesting. Dominant stuff, a 4-pitch mix, and a strong outing that led the Rays to a win over the Orioles. He says, you got the right-handed Shane McClanahan right there. Christian Bethancourt said of the rookie starter, Taj Bradley, that's how I see him. Is that what you see? I know that the body of work isn't necessarily there right now, but is the sky the limit for this kid? Could he actually be as good as Shane McClanahan eventually or better?
Yeah, there's a ceiling, and he hasn't come close to it yet.
Yeah.
So, and again, the nice thing is, Peter, you're not giving him the ball to be the number 1 or the number 2 guy. You can bring him along slowly, which is what the Rays are doing. Perfect.
Again, 52-25, 5 games ahead of the Baltimore Orioles. 3-2 for the season series. Still have some games to play. A weird 2-game set. I can't make any sense of baseball sometimes, but it is what it is. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Hopefully this is somebody. Welcome to the Evolution. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yes, welcome to the Evolution. Okay, I'm not gonna even test it. I don't know what's going on tonight with the phone lines, but you guys continue to call, and I'll do this. All right, you just keep on doing that to me, and we'll do this all night long with each other. All right. With that being said, what was your thought process on Mike Evans getting an extension at this point? It looks like the Bucs and him are working on an extension. I mean, this is the right thing to do. All we've heard through this offseason and how is he going to be traded to the Indianapolis Colts, to the Chicago Bears, to the Baltimore Ravens. Now this ridiculous rumor came out the other day, and I get it. Writers got to get clicks, but Bleacher Report suggests that Evans should be traded to the New York Giants for Saquon Barkley. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense at the end of the day, right?
No, that's stupid. And again, Peter, here's the big. And Roy Cummings and I had this conversation the other night.
Mm-hmm.
We used to hate, and we do. We hate this time of the year because you got to make stuff up. It's just there's no stories. So now, and again, would the Bucs listen to a trade offer? They would be nuts not to. They'd be nuts not to. Just listen to it, see what it is. And again, is this team ready to go to the Super Bowl? Probably not. So what are they going to get in return to get to that next level? I think it's time that Tampa Bay and Mike Evans sit down and say, okay, do you want to finish your career here? We need to come up with a number and go from there.
Yeah, and I think it's an easy decision. I think the whole insanity thing is to try to trade this guy because he's only 29 years old. To me, he's still in his prime. He's one of the most underrated wide receivers in the National Football League.
Hey, Peter, what's the two things you can't coach? Size and speed.
And that's
what Mike Evans has.
That's what he has. And eventually his speed is going to run down, but because of his size and because he can still get that separation and create that separation, which he's done throughout his career, it would be crazy. And then furthermore, he's like one of those Bucs that you sit here and say when you're having a sports talk show on a Wednesday night with the legend himself, Leo Haggerty, could he be on that Mount Rushmore eventually where you're talking about the likes of Leroy Selman, you're talking about the likes of Derek Brooks, you're talking about the likes of Warren Sapp? Does he get to that level where he's on the Mount Rushmore? I feel like he's kind of like Levante David. You don't want him to get into another uniform. Rondé Barber, the same thing. You don't want him to get into another uniform. There's no way they could trade him. And then on top of it, I can't even fathom this. You got a new quarterback, whether it's Kyle Trask or Baker Mayfield or wherever the hell you want to put back there. It doesn't make any sense to make your offense any better if you're trading Mike Evans away. That does not help out your quarterback.
All depends, Peter. If all of a sudden you get two proven offensive linemen and a high draft pick for him, then it becomes interesting. Again, the Bucs would be remiss if they didn't. That's a semi-SAT word.
Oh, very nice.
Would be remiss if they didn't. You got to listen. That's the first thing. You got to listen. And then you got to decide, is this something and again, I would come back and say, okay, this isn't enough. We need this, this, and this to even consider it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's just something that we usually see in veterans. And is he on the Mount Rushmore? No, but I think he's on the Mount Rainier, which is that second mountain now.
And I tell you right now, if he continues the way he's going, to me, he's already a Hall of Famer. 9 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons. He could be the best offensive player in Bucs history, and I'm just saying, from the standpoint of the most consistent, what he's done with the quarterbacks he's had to play with, and he hasn't always had Tom Brady. That's the thing. He's had Mike Lennon, he's had Jameis Winston, he's had other quarterbacks, and he still continued to be consistent at the end of the day. Let me go out to Ralph Williams. Jordan Whitehead, former Pitt Panther and Central Valley High School, Western Pennsylvania, correct? Opa, says Harry Berg. Mike says Gators are headed to the College World Series Finals. Congratulations. Mike Evans will retire a Buck. Daniel Williams, Mr. Williams here. Mike will need to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer for life, number 13. And Ben says, never say never, but I can't imagine Evans and Levante playing in another uniform during their careers. But I also thought Brady would never play for anyone other than the Patriots either. So we'll see what happens. With that being said, let's go out to Levante David talking about this new offense. And he said it's different. There's a lot of movement going around, a lot of different personnel groups, a lot of different looks that they're giving us. It gives us a chance to communicate defensively and adjust on the fly. They're giving us great looks, something that we haven't seen in a while. BA's offense is more taking shots down the field. This offense is taking what the defense gives them. It's been really competitive out there the past couple of days. Your thoughts on these comments? Because we've heard about it, Dave Canales, installing the offense, lots of motion, lots of emphasis on Rashard White in this running game. But it certainly seems like it's called David, who, consequently is most likely the defensive leader on this team, of how different it is.
Peter, when you look at what's going on with the offense, yes, this is why the Seahawks were so successful last year. They incorporated movement and mobility of their quarterback. And that's why I'm thinking Baker Mayfield's going to be the guy, because you're going to have a lot of movement. You want a lot of mobility out of your quarterback. And not saying that Trask is not mobile, but again, I'm not going to give the keys to this van to a guy that's has 10 NFL snaps in a game. I mean, it's just not good. Not good.
Yeah,
again, I'm going to throw that back on the Buccaneers. They should have got this guy ready. If they thought this guy was the guy, that's what they should have done last year. They should have got him at least 2 games.
2 games to get him a start, and I get it. You're going to go all in with Brady at the end of the day. But if you think, that's been my whole point of emphasis, if you think he is the guy going forward, then you go with him and you take your bumps in the road and you throw that kid into the fire.
Now, remember, Peter.
Yes.
He's Arians' guy. He's not Bowles' guy.
But
and that may be the problem.
And we've always heard from Bowles, too, that, he likes Kyle Trask. He works hard. He's doing everything like that. But for me, it's Baker Mayfield's job to lose at the end of the day. We won't have a decision. Todd Bowles talked about this in training camp. Do you think that's when it's going to happen, around training camp there, when they get enough snaps? Or, in your opinion, once again, do you think this is basically Baker's job to lose, unless he falls on his face at the end of the day?
This should have been done by now, Peter.
Okay.
They do not want to go into training camp with a guessing game.
Yeah.
And again, you got to give it to somebody and let it play out.
Yeah. I agree.
Think about this. They're the only team in the NFC South where there's a question mark at quarterback.
Right.
Derek Carr is going to be down there no matter what happens at New Orleans. They got the first round draft pick who's going to be at Carolina, and they got one down at Atlanta. So it's going to be interesting.
It's definitely going to be interesting. We got Leo Haggerty on there right now. Let's see here, taking a drink. Let me go out to Robert here. Totally great guy on and off the field. He cares more about other people than himself, and that's why I continue to tell. And I say this over and over again, and people call me a homer, but enjoy it, Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, with you having professional wide receivers that are not only great on the field, but off the field. They don't have that diva mentality. You're not talking about Stephon Diggs, who we'll get to in just a little bit here. I mean, really quick, what do you think of that situation? Because he's talked about it with the Buffalo Bills. He wants to be more involved in the offense, but it certainly seems like he is the focal point of the offense. Now comes word that he's disappointed because he took a pay cut, and he was under the impression that the Bills are going to go after DeAndre Hopkins, and they haven't done that. So what do you make of Stephon Diggs?
Again, Peter, I haven't coached a wide receiver in my life or known a wide receiver in my life who wasn't open every play. Every play, they're open.
Right.
And again, they want the football. And the good ones demand the football. And he's demanding the football. I would rather have a guy than do that than say, hey, give me 1-2 catches a game. I'm fine. No.
Yeah.
I want to be that focal point of the offense. I want to be the guy that when the quarterback looks up, he's looking for me. He's looking for number 14. That's it. And again, I'm amazed the Bills haven't gone after DeAndre Hopkins. I'm more scared the Jets are going to go after him because that may be the missing piece in New York. And that defense is Super Bowl ready. And all of a sudden you put Aaron Rodgers and DeAndre Hopkins together. Ooh, look out.
Well, and I tell you right now, Dalvin Cook got on the Adam Schefter podcast and said he would like to play with D-Hop. So could you imagine Dalvin Cook and D-Hop. And to me, Buffalo makes sense simply because you do kind of need a second or third wide receiver, although I think Gabe Davis is pretty good. And if Gabe Davis is hearing these comments, he's like, wait a minute, well, what about me over here? I've been productive. It's not DeAndre Hopkins, but furthermore, you could get Dalvin Cook, join up with his brother, James Cook, and it could be a family affair. We're on with a guy that I consider my family here, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Speaking of the Jets, great transition there. Jordan Whitehead likens Aaron Rodgers' Jets to Tom Brady's 2020 Buccaneers like deja vu. He says it was kind of the same situation I fell into when I was with the Bucs. We had a great defense the year before. We just needed one piece that was missing. He says, I tell the guys it's kind of like deja vu to me. I let everyone know that we have a great group. On the field, talking about Rodgers, and this is Whitehead's comments, he's making us better. We're getting the best we can get. He's making us check down, communicate on another level. In the locker room, you see and hear him. He's a funny character. He's a good guy, open to everything, a real great guy. Now, you're putting that out there. How similar do you think these situations are? Because I don't really think they're that similar. And then furthermore, people talk about Brady being the final piece. Okay, that's a fair assessment because the quarterback the previous year in Jameis Winston threw the 30 interceptions. We remember that, right? He also threw 30 touchdowns. But if you don't have Gronkowski, if you don't have Fournette, if you don't have Antonio Brown, your offense is not going anywhere, even with a Mike Evans and a Chris Godwin. I get it, you have Aaron Rodgers, but where are those weapons at? This, to me, is not very similar, in my opinion.
You know what, Peter? Again, remember, these guys got to do player speak and coach speak.
Yeah.
He's not going to come out and say, well, you know what, it's not like the Bucs because those, our wide receivers aren't as good. They did have the Rookie of the Year wide receiver.
Sure.
So, yeah. They and what I like about the Jets is they got a defensive head coach.
Sure.
In Salah. And that's what's going to be huge. So let's see what happens there as to what goes on with the Jets. But I'll tell you what, bringing in Aaron Rodgers, it is like bringing in Tom Brady. Let's be honest. You're bringing in probably as elite a quarterback that was available. Yeah.
Well, I agree with that, but also leadership-wise, I don't necessarily think he's in that Brady conversation, but I do understand the impact. And all we've heard from, Rodgers' tender is how he's not necessarily the best teammate, how he's surly and has this attitude at the end of the day. Let me go back to the Bucs. Final question, then we'll get you out of here. We got Stan Author of an admin of I Love St. Pete. He's going to talk about what he's doing, why he created this group in the first place, which we were on. I love this platform. 128,000 following on I Love St. Pete. That's why we try to get on here as much as we can on Monday and Wednesday nights. Rashard White, he's the man on the spot. The Bucs have not rushed for over 1,000 yards. Can you believe this? In 8 seasons. Is he the guy to do it this year? Yes or no, in your opinion?
No.
Why is that?
Only because I don't think they're ready to commit to that.
Right.
If they commit to it, and again, when you're sitting looking at this, there wasn't a whole lot of choice last year. Brady's going to throw it 40, 50, 60 times. That's
right.
Just it.
Right.
Now, there may be a commitment to run. If there's a commitment to run the football and Rashard White stays healthy, then I'm going to change it to yes. But I want to see that commitment first.
Well, and that's true. And we've heard about the commitment to run. And of course, they, led the league last year in passing. I definitely think the offense has changed. You heard it from Levante David. You heard it here from the legend Leo Haggerty. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television Live on I Love St. Pete, the hub, and Amped Up Sports, my friend. All right.
Peter, guess what? I will be talking to you from Tacoma, Washington next week.
Yes.
And we will have your most favorite fan, my grandson Brady, will be
okay.
on with us.
All right. Sounds good. Leo on the road again. He can't wait to get on the road again. Appreciate you, buddy. There you go, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Sorry about the singing voice, but I had to belt it out there. Little Willie Nelson for you if you don't know. That's old school. Let's go out to this guy right here who's kind of old school. Mr. Stan Author.
That's old school.
Admin.
Let's go out to this guy right here who's kind of old school. Mr. Stan Author. That's old school. This guy right here who's kind of old school.
Can you hear me? Yeah, we just got a little bit of
There's
an
no
yeah,
working.
we're good. We're good. Welcome
on.
to Sports Web. Yes, we'll wait for you here as we're looking forward to talking.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't. I can't hear you on the phone. Okay, I can't hear you.
You can't
and
hear
I'm
me.
not sure why.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Okay, no problem. We'll
Hang
get
on.
really
Let me
quick.
try something else.
All right.
I think
no
I got
problem.
a delay here now.
All right, let me go ahead and let him work it out there. Once he works it out, then we'll get him on. Some great stuff that he's doing there as an admin of I Love St. Pete, a fund out there for people that are struggling in their daily lives. And you know what? Somebody kind of called me out, and that's okay. It's okay to call me out sometimes because I am so focused on this show when it comes to trying to promote it. But at the end of the day, you know, the reason why you do this in life is to make an impact on people's lives, not only to entertain and educate, but also enlighten. And, you know, I feel like we have to have him on here to talk about all these great causes that he has going on with I Love St. Pete. So we'll see if we can get him on in just a moment. Let's go out to the comments here from Ben Cornett. Question, is the Bills championship window starting to close a little bit? I mean, I definitely think there is some desperation at the end of the day, Ben. Great show, by the way. Great shows that you do there on your page there. But, yeah, I definitely think there's, you know, some doubt there when it comes to Josh Allen. Can he get it done? Can he cut down on the turnovers? Can he make the right decisions? And then you have the top playmaker right now in Stephon Diggs, who it seems like it could be a distraction, showing up, doing the Marshawn Lynch thing, showing up so, you know, I don't have to get fined at the end of the day. Let's go out to Ben here. Remember, Brady wasn't necessarily the final and only piece of the Super Bowl in 2020, but Brady was the cultural piece that turned the franchise around from obscurity to the top of the league literally overnight. No other quarterback could do that, in my opinion, not even Rodgers. Great comment as always. Yeah. Ben, again, Peter, I'm calling you out for not honoring your bet to eat a veggie omelet, bud. Was there a bet out there? I guess I got to fulfill that eventually. You know that I'm not necessarily into eating vegetables, especially when it comes to morning. I mean, I'm not looking forward to sleeping 6 to 8 hours, getting up, and eating vegetables in an omelet. But to fulfill that bet, I will do it eventually. We just got to get the proper restaurant to do it, and we got to do it live. Appreciate that, Peter. Absolutely, my friend. And let's go on to David here. What's up, Peter? How you doing this evening? How are you doing this evening? On this whacked out Wednesday with the tech. Let's go out to Stan Author here of I Love St. Pete, the admin. Welcome to the evolution, my friend. First time on this show. I can't believe it. And I got to say, throughout all the years, because there was a transition process where I wasn't with Bucs Report anymore. We met out at Ferg's. We made friends. I saw an opportunity to not only be on this platform, but also make a difference, maybe entertain people locally here. So once again, Stan, I really appreciate the opportunity to have the show on this platform. But talk about yourself. Talk about why you created I Love St. Pete. Once again, welcome to the Sports Web.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me all right now.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, sir.
All right. All right. First of all, let me just say how proud I am to have you to be our sports guy in I Love St. Pete. I think it was a great decision. Your show has been fabulous. I can't say enough about it. It's been a great relationship, and it's great to have you on board. I created I Love St. Pete back in 2009. Thought it might be a great way to get people to come out and see the bands I was in, but that never worked out. Eventually, the group took on a life of its own. After 6 years, we had 5,000 people. We're like, oh, wow, this is it. And here we are, you know, in 2023, and we've got 128, almost 129,000 group members. mostly local too, which is interesting. But at least 80% of the people who are in that group actually live in the greater St. Petersburg area. So it's been a real experience and running the thing now. I'm retired now. I don't know if you heard, but I'm retired now. So I even have more time to run it and work on it and get the people the information they need and all that. But it was just a few years ago, about 3 years ago now, we started a charity called the I Love St. Pete Emergency Relief Fund. Kind of started it as a virtual passing of the hat for people who were experiencing financial emergencies kind of in the moment. Maybe they're not able to make their rent that month. Maybe they got the power or water shut off. Maybe they couldn't afford groceries for them and their kids. And that just took off like crazy. After a year or so, I figured I was going to get in trouble. So we actually created the 501c3, and now we're all completely legit. Have our own website. It's called helpstpete.org, and we are always asking people if they really enjoy I Love St. Pete, which a lot of people certainly seem to, that they consider helping us out with a monthly pledge of $10 or more to be able to help somebody else in our own community who's experiencing a financial hardship. It's been a real trip. It's been an amazing trip.
And it's a great thing because I definitely have donated the $10 a month or more, and I definitely think it's for a good cause. Can you talk about how many people you have helped? Because it certainly seems like it's abundant. I mean, every time I see you, and that's amazing in itself. And you have to understand this from my perspective. You see social media, you see some of the toxicity to it, and then you come to I Love St. Pete and you see what one man is doing, what a group is doing to help out somebody that they barely even know. I mean, these are not just your friend. These are not your friends. You barely even know these people. You're helping them out because they're in a situation right now. And let's face it, we're all in the same situation, Stan, right? I mean, the rent is high, the gas is high, everything is high right now in Florida because everybody wants to live here because it's so beautiful. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's like a great old friend of mine used to say, it's like times are tough, even the birds are walking. But yeah, times are tough. And we get a lot of single moms who are in deep trouble with their finances, getting ready to be evicted with maybe 3 or 4 kids, nobody else to pay the bills. I mean, there's so much of that going on. It's sad, very sad. At the same time, we've got a lot of people who are very generous. I mean, we get the $10 pledges, but we also get the $100 pledges, and then we have people that talk their company into donating $1,000 sometimes to get that. How many have we helped? It's in the hundreds now after 3 years of doing it. And of course, like we've been saying, times are tough, so we have to turn a lot of people away because a lot of times we get down to zero, and then we just have to wait till we get more money in the account that we can try to figure out how to help these people. I go through a very stringent vetting process with these people to legitimize their claims, that they are who they say they are, that they're going through what they say they're going through. And once we establish a rapport with that and we know what's going on, then typically we can help them out. We also have something cool that's been happening is we've been partnering with a couple of other agencies lately to try to do more. St. Vincent de Paul Cares has been great. The Bridgepoint Church has been great. We kind of refer people to each other, and we're able to help out a lot more people that way.
Awesome. We're on with Stan Author here, the admin of I Love St. Pete. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. You also do some things with St. Pete Key Tag with businesses. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that definitely helps out businesses that want to promote on I Love St. Pete at the end of the day, right?
It's amazing because that now ties in very closely with the charity. We changed things, so we rebranded the whole thing about a year ago. We dropped the key tags because I guess they were confusing people. I just wear a stainless steel run around my neck now. But we just figured, hey, let's keep it simple. And we allow local business owners who want to partner with us to be able to advertise in the group and connect with our huge member database in order to get new clients. And in order to do that, they pay a small fee, either monthly or annually, And that fee is now donated to the I Love St. Pete Emergency Relief Fund. And that helps us do quite a bit more than we were doing before. So that's a great thing. It's a great thing for the community. It boosts the local economy. It boosts the bottom line of the merchants who are joining with us and partnering with us. And we've got so many great stories from that. People that we just put on the map: restaurants, artists, uh, plumbers, hairstylists, anything you can imagine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great thing at the end of the day. I mean, when did you kind of realize that you were making a difference? Because I feel like there's sometimes in life we get so preoccupied with what we're doing, and then somebody reminds us, you know what? You are making a difference in my life. You're not just doing it to do it because you love it. You're doing it because you also make somebody else happy. When did you realize that what you were doing with this group and the charities, that you were making a big time difference?
Well, Peter, I had a great mentor in my life. His name was Lowell Lytle. He's still alive. He's 91 years old now. But I worked under him and his organization called Young American Showcase for about 13 years when I was a young man. And as an entertainer, a drummer, and a singer, and then a director with that company. And he taught me so many good life lessons. And one of them was that with great responsibility, I'm sorry, that with great power comes great responsibility.
Mm,
And when we hit like 50,000 group members, I thought, oh, this is it. This is, it doesn't get any better than this.
right.
And I started thinking along the lines of community service at that point. Like, we've got all these people collected here in one place, and things are really starting to happen. People would come in and ask for something. Say, my air conditioner went out. Does anybody have a window unit that they don't need anymore? Miraculously, it would just happen. Somebody would show up with a air conditioner for me. There's stories like that left and right. So I figured, okay, this is getting to be a real resource for people. So I figured we better create some programs and really take advantage of the huge collective that we had going on. You think about that now, 50,000 was like 3 years ago, probably when you joined the group,
Yeah.
well, at least when the sports web came around. And it's been about 3 years now, hasn't it, Peter? I think it has.
It's been
It's been a
about 3
while.
or 4 years, and it's flown by, and we were doing shows here, and a lot of people in this group, they're sports fans, and they're also Rays fans, and they're also Bucs fans. So it has definitely flown by, and you're exactly right. When I joined up with it, I think it was like 50,000 or something, and I was like, you know what, this would be a
Yeah.
great group. It's local. I'm local. I'm not on the big TV station. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. We're on with admin of I Love St. Pete, Stan Author, here on the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. With that being said, you talked about your bands. What kind of music are you into that you were doing? I want to know about this because I'm a rock head. I like old school hip hop, but I'm also a rock head at the end of the day. First and foremost, your music, and who is the greatest band in Stan's mind of all time?
Well, that's subjective, It's all in the eye of the beholder, in the ears of the beholder. I grew up learning how to play drums to Led Zeppelin, so I'm a big John Bonham fan of Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
But that didn't stop me from listening to everything else under the sun at that point. Plus, my background as a musician, I came from an entertainment company that was doing shows in high schools all over North America. I toured for 13 years doing that. Those bands were called Free Fair, Freedom Jam, and then we did a show in high schools that was like music, comedy, and a motivational message for the young people. And that lasted till about 1990. My wife and I toured together for quite a while. I was a director. I'd go around all the different bands that we produced, and they called me the Hatchet Man because they'd send me somewhere to fire somebody, and then I'd have to work somebody new into the show or whatever. So it was quite the experience. And again, like I said, I had an unbelievable mentor who taught me many, many, many great life lessons. It's kind of set the course for me in my life and what I would do with my life. After Showcase, just did the local bands. It's so many of them. I've lost count how many of them I was in. But 90s, the 90s had such a fantastic original music scene in St. Petersburg. So many original bands back then. That dried up and blew away. But I've been in bands like Big Brother and the Red Sunday and More is More. And back in the 90s, the Vodkanauts, if you ever heard of them. Um,
Mhm.
there was Barely Pink, which was, a great original power and pop band. Man, I just never stopped playing, never stopped. I had a horn band for a while out of Tampa, a horn band called Funkin' Eight.
Mhm.
Uh, and that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed the lead singing thing, but I usually get picked up for playing drums because I'm a good drummer. So what can I say?
Well,
Um,
there you go. There you go, right there. You're a big drummer, and it's okay to be subjective on this show. You can't go wrong with, Led Zeppelin at the end of the day. I mean, that's a great band. Metallica, I think, is definitely in that conversation.
love it.
Ozzy, Black Sabbath. I mean, that's old school for me. And then, well, why do you think rock is? Well, you talked about the scene, the local scene. Why has that dried up? Why isn't there more rock bands out there? Why don't people like to go? Is there enough venues out there, in your opinion? Would you be interested because you're so much into rock music and creating? You already created this page. Could you create a venue where you give some of these local rock bands an opportunity?
It's funny you mentioned that because back in the 90s, there was a rock club on every block. I mean, it was crazy how many venues there were. And of course, a lot of them did dry up as rock music kind of went the way of the dodo after grunge. Grunge kind of put a nail in the coffin of rock and roll. Now, of course, it still lives in all of our hearts. And those people like me, I'm 65 years old. I listened to my first Beatle records when I was 6 years old and decided, hey, that's it. I'm going to be the Beatles. That's what I'm going to do. And I had an older brother and sister that got me totally into it. They were, of the Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, the Doors, Jim Morrison kind of ilk. That was their time.
Nice.
And yeah, I guess so. I got a good dose of that, as well as total, pop radio too. Back in the day, I mean, I remember all the stations around here. WLCY. Oh man, 138. That's what you listened to. Back when I was like elementary school, junior high school. That was it, man.
Yeah, that's
That was
it's
just,
good.
just
It's
it was just right as FM was starting to become the big thing. You know.
Yeah, yeah, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. At the end of the day, and it's a shame. I remember my dad sitting me down and saying, "Okay, you want to listen to some real rock? Again, we're gonna listen to Zeppelin. We're gonna definitely listen to Jimi Hendrix and the Experience, and you're gonna expand your mind a little bit, if you will, when it comes to rock music." With that being said, this is a sports talk show. I gotta ask you, how excited
Yeah.
are you with this Tampa Bay Rays team this year and what they're
Oh,
doing? Is
brother.
amazing, right?
I tell you, we watch every game because I'm retired now. My wife and I both retired about 3 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we're in North Carolina right now, and we subscribe to MLB just to be able to watch every race game, and we caught every single one of them. It's extremely exciting. The things you love, there's things you hate. But the team has so much fun. It's such a great group of guys. I love it. I absolutely love it. There's not a slouch in the team. The lineup is fantastic. I'm a little, hinky on the relief pitching and the closers, but
I think we all are. I think
yeah,
this game is brought to you by Tums because everybody has that heartburn when the bullpen is getting in there and you're kind of biting your nails at the end of the day. If that is probably the weakest point on this team, if they can clean that up, I think the sky is the limit. And you've experienced it. The Rays going to the World Series in 2008, of course, losing to
oh
the Philadelphia Phillies. And then in 2020 with COVID and everything going on, that was a wild year, going to the Dodgers, going back to the Dodgers. How did you feel about Kevin Cash and the Rays taking out Blake Snell? You watched him pitch the other night. He was a man on a mission, right?
yeah, boy, he was good. He did a good job. He did a great job. But the Rays were a little stronger. Blake, great guy, a great pitcher. I mean, really fabulous pitcher.
Yeah.
And we got McClanahan, we got you know, Tommy John Boy. Um,
Yes.
name just went out of my head, but And he's coming back now. You know, he had a couple of rough games, but he's doing pretty good now.
Last
Uh,
now. Yes.
Last night, yeah. So anyway, in my opinion, as I watch these games, I've noticed a pattern, and that is that we're hanging on until the relief pitching comes in, and then bingo, bango, bango, bango. Then the hits come, just like everybody gets a hit after that. And so we faced a lot of tough pitchers, and the record that we have is a testament to just never say die, never quit. They can almost always get it done. Sometimes we leave pitchers in too long. You can just see it on Kevin Cash's face a lot of times, where he's just like, I should have taken him out 5 minutes ago.
Right.
But,
Well, you're in
you know,
retirement now. You got to enjoy the race, scoring all these runs. We continue to talk about Papa John's. Have you enjoyed some of that Papa John's eating there where you get 50% off a pizza every time the Rays score 6 runs, or you kind of try to back off of that because of the heartburn?
I know people who do. I have a old buddy Larry Taylor, boy. He's always looking forward to that. No, there's no Papa John's up here where I am right now. I am in very, very rural North Carolina on let's call it an extended vacation.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, it's just beautiful here. You ought to see the view from my front door. It's unbelievable.
Well, good for you. You definitely deserve retirement. That's the greatest thing when you stop working. You don't get like me, get all this gray hair when you work all your life because of the stress and the wackos you have to deal on a Wacko Wednesday on the phone. We're on with Stan Author here, admin of I Love St. Pete, live on the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Final question, and we'll get you out of here so you can enjoy the rest of your night here. Once again, thanks a lot for the opportunity of being on the Evolution. And anytime you need anything, you need a voice, I would say voice of reason, but some people think I'm crazy on this show. But you just need a voice to promote something on this great platform. You got me, my friend. But what do you say to the people, especially the national media, that says there are no baseball fans in St. Pete, that it can't work? Is that kind of a slap in your face? Because you're from St. Pete, you created this group. And what do you have to say to those people that say it can't work in downtown St. Pete at the end of the day?
The first thing I would say is I'm looking at all these other stadiums that are nearly empty when the Rays go on the road. So I'm not quite sure what they're referring to. Every time I've been to a game, and I've been to many, every game I've been to, the people have just been in such great spirits. I've done a lot of openers, season openers, of course, and those are always packed. I've been right in the thick of the crowd at Spurs for many of those games. I just can't. What I don't understand is why people from Tampa won't come over to St. Pete to see a baseball game. Doesn't make any sense to me, especially considering the talent that we have on hand. It's crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah.
People at St. Pete will go to a Bucs game, no problem. But the Tampa people, they just got a bad attitude towards St. Petersburg, which of course they're jealous for one thing because of how cool St. Petersburg is. And how clean and how nice and how wonderful the people are to each other in St. Petersburg. Unlike Tampa, but I've got a great shirt that says "We don't care how they do it in Tampa." I went to my share of Buccaneers games, back in the day. Heck, I played music at Bucs games. Loved it, absolutely loved it. I don't understand why they won't come over. It's crazy, but they're not coming over from Tampa.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, St. Pete does have a plan. They have the redevelopment. I think eventually they will get this done if they want to get it done, and hopefully they do, because I love the Rays in the Bay Area, whether they're in Tampa or St. Pete, and I've really grown to love St. Pete and the people at the end of the day. I think it could definitely work here if everybody comes together, right? Come together
Absolutely.
right now. You talked about the Bucs. I'll end off with this. How big of a Bucs fan are you? And you talked about your memories. Do you have any great memories? They're bringing the creamsicles back there on October 15th. What do you think about that, Stan?
That's wonderful. I love the retro stuff. I absolutely love the retro stuff. It could go a little too far, like with oh geez, what was that? What were the Padres wearing the other day? What the heck was that about?
I have no idea what that was. No idea. I mean, that was like a Miami Vice uniform that they were wearing. I don't know where
I
it
don't
came.
know.
Yeah,
They looked like they were vending ice cream or something. I couldn't quite figure it out, but
yeah,
and I hope I'm not creating any bad vibes with anybody out there. But that was interesting.
yes,
Uh,
especially on
yeah,
the ice.
and then the next day they come out wearing fatigue camo.
Right,
It's like
right.
we had enough of that crap.
Yes,
We're
yes,
dressing like men now.
yeah, yeah. I don't get it at all. But yeah, the Bucks are
I
bringing
love the
the.
Buccaneers.
Yeah, yeah.
Love the
Okay.
Bucks. I come from the days of Steve Spurrier and Vinny Greedy Barbarino, Testorino, or whatever. Okay, I come from those days of just going to the games to the old sombrero and just loving it, just absolutely loving every minute. Of course, I saw a lot of great concerts at that stadium as well
Good
back in
stuff,
the day.
man. Appreciate the
So,
time as always. Go ahead and promote what you're doing here with I Love St. Pete. Once again, thanks a lot for the time here on the Sports Web.
sure. Well, anybody who wants to help out with our charitable push and what the things that we've been trying to do to help people locally in the greater St. Petersburg area, just go to our website. It's helpstpete.org, and you'll have the opportunity to either make a monthly pledge, any amount. Of course, we just we recommend $10 a month because we know a lot of people can do that. Or you can make a one-time donation. There's ways you can do both there on the website. But it really, really helps. We just, we think with 129,000 people in the group, if we could just get 10% of the people to give $10 a month, we could literally move mountains in St. Petersburg. We could change a lot of things in St. Petersburg with that amount of money. So, and whether I'm here in North Carolina or there in St. Petersburg, I'm still the guy at the wheel driving the whole thing. So, I'm never going to stop that. Now that I'm retired, I have a lot more time to focus on. So please, if you want to help us out, join up. If you have a local business and you want an unbelievable way to connect with tens of thousands of people every time you post about your business, go to our website, stpeterewards.com. That's stpeterewards.com. And for as little as $25, you can advertise every day in the group. $25 a month, you can advertise every day in the group. And it's been a fantastic program for a lot of different things.
All right. Thank you very much, Stan, out there, for your time here on the Sports Web. Appreciate you, and we'll see you soon, my friend. All right. Enjoy the retirement.
Thanks for having me, Peter. You're wonderful. Appreciate it.
Hey, man. Appreciate you. You're wonderful right there. Great stuff. Making an impact in the community. Gotta love it. I tell you what, let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have the bodyguard of the Berg with his new radio show, newest radio personality in Pittsburgh. It's Mr. Ralph Williams talking WWE, talking AEW. It's all on the table right now. It's the Sports Web. Keep it locked.
The golf cart has a new rip in it! What are you gonna do about it? Are you tired of those conversations from your partner? As our mobile service, Fiber New St. Petersburg is excited to help you when you get those rips, tears, burns, or color distortions in your golf carts. Go ahead and check us out at fibernew.com/St. Petersburg so you can save yourself from your partner going, Ron, again. Tired of those pesky tears, rips, holes, burns, and more in your vinyl, leather, and plastic? No worries, because Fibernew St. Petersburg is here to help. Your local experts in vinyl, leather, and plastic are ready to renew instead of replace what you love, saving you money, time, and the environment. Check us out at fibernew.com/St. Petersburg, or check us out on the socials as Fibernew St. Pete or Fibernew St. Petersburg. Ready to help you whenever you would like you to get your pieces done.
All right, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the Sports Web Turnbuckle Talk coming right at you right now. If you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Rays today, who picked up another win. I'll tell you what, let's go out to the Marine. Let's go out to Mr. Ron. Ron, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television here on a whacked out Wednesday, hump day. What do you have to say, man? Welcome.
Hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing, Mr. Peter Blake?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good, man. I appreciate the comment, too. Love you, too, man. You're one of the main fans here that we do this type of sports talk show for, whether it's in I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, or the Hub. So what's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, man. So, I just wanted to kind of catch up, say hello to all the
Webheads.
The Websters out
yeah,
there,
the web.
Webheads.
Well, not the Websters, but I guess that'd be something interesting. I mean, totally different definition there, but the Webheads. Websters.
The Webheads. Chris Cole, man, there's probably a few more that I might remember after the fact, but
sure.
Yeah, just hello everybody listening out there, and it's the summertime, and we're in just got done with OTAs, right?
Yeah, got rid of the mini camp and the OTAs and shorts and shirts, and the next step is you put the pads on and you put the helmet on and you see who's going to be your starting quarterback, and these competitions and all these battles kind of break out. I mean, what's the battle you're looking forward to? I know for me, it's the offensive line. I want to see, this offensive line and what they do, who wins out at the left guard spot, who wins out at the right guard spot, who is going to be the next eventual right tackle. I think it's going to be Luke Haggerty, but I'm curious to see, this remodeled offensive line, if they can be better. And I think they can be better. So I'm excited about that. What are you kind of excited about with the competition battle?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's interesting. What is it? Tristan Wirth, our main man there. Tristan's moving. He's moving on the right side, right? Peter, I have it wrong.
Moving to the left side. Moving from the right side to the left side. That is correct.
He's moving to the right. He's moving to the left.
Yes.
So that might be somewhat of a process. Hopefully not. Hopefully, I like Cody Mock. He's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Because right away, as fans, we could kind of attach to him.
Yeah.
In kind of an emotional, exciting standpoint, because he looks just sort of like Ryan Jensen, and long red hair, scrappy guys.
Yeah, we talked about it. Jason Light has a type, and that's a good type. And if he turns out to be anything like Ryan Jensen, you got yourself a hell of a player. This team wants to get stronger at the point of attack. They want to get faster. And they want to get younger, and that's exactly what they did in this draft, especially on that offensive line. And I'm excited about it. I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I have a feeling this Cody Mock is going to be very good, and hopefully Luke Haggerty can improve. And
well, he's going to play his natural position. His natural position in college was at tackle. He was a right tackle. He's not a guard. So you kind of look like a fish out of water playing that left guard spot. And again, there's a transition process, right, Marine? I mean, you go from the college process, you go from playing tackle to guard. It's tough. So I think he played a lot better when he had the opportunity to play at that tackle spot. I think that's your right tackle. I think they're happy with that. I also thought it was interesting how people said, you know what, they're going to kind of turn the page. Nah, that's not Jason Light. Jason Light, it's a second-round pick. They traded up for him. They want to see what he has. They're not ready to give up on him. And I trust Jason Light in this franchise going forward, especially when it comes to offensive linemen. I mean, look at what they did with Ali Marpet, small school guy. Well, look at what they did with Alex Kappa, small school guy. Great production, gritty guys. Hopefully these players can turn out the same way.
Oh yeah, I mean, no doubt. And obviously it was unfortunate. Maybe some of us didn't obviously see that coming with Ali retiring early. That was a big loss. But I mean, if you go down some of the line, I don't think some of the fans realized really the change of the roster as compared to what we had for that, for the Super Bowl team. Granted, we had talent, and we had we had a lot of good guys at key positions. We just didn't get the consistency, the consistent, running game, and
Sure.
Football's a sport of consistency. I know everyone's eyeing the quarterback position. I know when I was able to talk to Jay, he seems to believe that maybe Kyle Trask is actually going to win the job. I don't know.
We'll see. It's up in the air at this point. I mean, you would think, listening to national pundits and people that are around the situation, that everything has been talked about with Baker Mayfield, how they like his moxie, they like his leadership. He's a number one pick. He's got potential. But at the end of the day, if Kyle Trask is going to get every opportunity, and if he beats him out in training camp, then he's your starter. If he beats him out in those game time situations, I'm just not sure they're going to go in that direction at the end of the day. I think they're going to go with Baker Mayfield. We shall see how it all plays out. But that'll be one of the many stories here. I think that's always the main story because it's quarterback, right? I mean, you're turning the page. Who's the next quarterback? Who's the heir apparent to Tom Brady? Is Baker Mayfield your future? Is Kyle Trask your future? If they are, then you feel good about the situation. If they're not, then you start to get into the whole idea that this team could be tanking and you're looking for a quarterback next year. I don't necessarily want to go down that road, and I think this team is way too talented to be tanking at the end of it. I really do.
Yeah, I have a friend, we discuss a lot of sports, and he thinks that the Bucs goal right now is to rebuild, and I don't really fully agree with that, but
right.
He believes that Baker Mayfield is more of a stopgap quarterback, that he's not gonna win you much. He's not gonna win you a championship necessarily. But here's the thing. I mean, we have to be optimistic, but at the same time positive within that optimism. And
you also have to be realistic because you're in one of the worst divisions in football.
Well,
you still do have talent. You still have Mike Evans. You still have Chris Godwin. I know we've been on this and we talk about it. You still have defensive players on this team, and Levante David and Antoine Winfield Jr. You talked about Tristan Wirfs. So it's not like, the cupboard is bare. It's easy for a lot of fans out there, and I understand this, when you lose a Tom Brady, who's the greatest of all time, and you say, you know what, this team is done, they're over with. I don't think that's the mindset at the end of the day. And I also think that it could come down to this whole national narrative where the Bucs are going to be tanking and they're not going to be very good. They're talentless. They don't have that. And I go back to the Seattle Seahawks last year when you lose Russell Wilson. Do you even think that they're competitive? I don't. And all of a sudden the team comes together. Geno Smith plays well, and the rest is history. They surprise you. What if I told you the 2023 Tampa Bay Buccaneers could be the version of the Seattle Seahawks in 2022? I'm just saying it could happen.
Yeah, no. That's a good point, Pete. And here's the thing: if in our lifetime, right? And it's so easy to be negative because I do it a lot.
Sure,
we get caught up in the emotion.
Yep.
But some people are actually a little more negative than others, and I'm one.
Yes, and I try to get you out of that negative mindset, Marine. That's what I try to do. Yes.
I'm critical of my team, but if every time we had a change in life, that just because somebody would be as dumb as to say that because Tom Brady left, that, it's all over. I mean, that's silly, because how many times have we gone through change in our life? And guess what? We just have to keep our head down and we got to keep moving. I mean,
hey, listen,
the team is going to find
you don't know this about me, but I was nearly a Marine. I had 2 weeks to go. I broke my ankle, had a stress fracture. Couldn't qualify with the M16 32 times. You know what they used to say in Marine Corps boot camp? Adapt and overcome. Can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers adapt and overcome in 2023. And I would say, why can't they? Why can't they adapt and overcome?
What do you think, Pete? Do you think that with a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, though, you pretty much need to have a suitable enough running game and a great offensive line? Would you say that?
I definitely think you have to have that with any quarterback. We saw that last year with Tom Brady. Even though he had a lot of fourth quarter comebacks, you're going to have an offensive line that's going to be able to give that quarterback 3 to 5 seconds. You're also going to have to depend on that running game. And the reason why you do that is because, you give the defense, something to think about, right? I mean, I always say giving you something to think about, you give that defense something to think about, where they're going to have to, figure out how you stop that run game. Pass play action opens up on top of it. The more you run the ball, the more you take the ball out of the hands of a Baker Mayfield, who's known to make these type of decisions where he's throwing a lot of interceptions, and also Kyle Trask. It makes the offensive game plan a lot easier. We saw that last year. When you don't have a run game, when you're one-dimensional, that's when you get into that trouble, because if you're passing, the majority of the game and your offensive line isn't good, not only are you going to pick up some penalties, you're going to make some bad decisions, and there's going to be a lot of bad things that happen.
Yeah, I mean, and if you have a turn, if you protect the ball, how much of a difference that makes? Because if you don't, and if it builds,
it makes a huge difference. It's one of the most important facets in all professional sports. Protect the ball.
Well, you turn the ball over too.
Right.
Right. And if teams get enough of kind of a scouting routine on that, they're just going to stack the box, take the run lanes away, and force you to throw the football.
Yeah.
And make a mistake. But hey, hats off to the Rays too. They're doing excellent. I mean, nobody.
Yeah, I like that. Gotta love that.
Wins. How about that?
How about that? 52 wins, and they just continue to move along here, mow along, and we'll see if they can continue this pace with their pitching and with their hitting. I think the surprising thing here, Marine, is their hitting is getting it done this year with scoring, 5 to 6 runs a game. There was never any doubt with this team with pitching and defense. They've always had that. That's the one thing they can always hang their hat on. What they haven't had is the hitting. Randy Arozarena leading the way, Jose Siri, Harold Ramirez. You had Paredes today. Wander Franco isn't necessarily hitting his stride yet, but there's the potential there.
Yes, sir.
Tyler Walls. We're not even talking about Brandon Lau. Josh Lowe is having a great year. I mean, they have hitters up and down that lineup. Christian Bentoncourt is another player that showed out this year. So they're getting the pitching, they're getting the defense. The bullpen is a little bit of a question mark. It kind of freaks out people, but I think they're getting healthy at the right time. And then furthermore, if you're scoring 5 to 6 runs a game and you got the defense and the pitching, I don't think you're going to get beat by a lot of people. Marine, we got to run. Use that second call. Appreciate the time as always. Woo! And we'll see you around, my friend. All right, Ron?
Hey, thank you, Pete. Just wanted to say real quick, the farm system is amazing for the Rays. How they do it, a lot of us probably can't even put into words.
We can't. We can't, and they've continued to make me. Keep it going. Yes, they do. All right. Thanks a lot, Ron. Appreciate you. Let me go out to Curtis. Curtis, welcome to the Evolution. You're on the Sports Web on a whacked out Wednesday night hump day. What do you have to say, my friend?
Before I get to what I want to say about the Rays.
Yeah.
I want to give my heart out to those guys in that submarine down there looking at the Titanic.
Yeah.
I hope those guys are okay.
Yeah.
I've been watching the news. I've been listening to the story. And I'm going to just say this. I'm a man. You guys are men. I don't think I would go in a submarine 13,000 feet up under the sea.
No.
I don't think there's nothing inside of me that would interest me that much to go down there.
To see the Titanic, there's nothing. I saw a 3.5 hour movie. That was enough for me. And I fell asleep to it. I'm good with that.
And I have a respect for people who have different interests in different things.
Sure.
But no, I'm sorry.
It costs you $250,000 to go down there and see the Titanic. I could take $250,000 and do better things with it at the end of the day.
What I will say is this: at least the guy that's the owner of the company is down there with him. and that's not a positive thing that I'm saying it like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But he could be onshore safe right now while they're down there. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
He's
But
really he's really going out of his way to fulfill the Titanic
well,
idea.
he's
Going
taking your
down with
money.
the ship, aka submarine, but hopefully,
Exactly.
right. That's
It's bad that we make jokes of it, but
I
here's the thing.
yes.
Here's the thing.
Right.
Here's the thing, and I'm not trying to be an asshole about it.
Right.
You know what the risks are of doing things like that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
get it. I definitely
there's
get it.
always
Yeah.
risk. I mean, that's like people who jump out of planes and skydive.
Right.
You know what the risk is.
You know what is good about going in a plane? You stay in it. I don't need to jump out of it. You know, it's like I have enough of a difficulty in going in a plane and having air sickness and going on a boat. You know, people are trying to get me. Family members are trying to get me going on a cruise. I got vertigo. I don't know if that's necessarily gonna, fly with my body at the end of the day. So I like land. I'm a land lover. I'm from Florida, but I'm a land lover. So
now let's get to these ratings.
Yes, let's get to them. Yes,
you know, I'm a Red Sox fan.
I
Y'all
do. I'm going to convert you over here eventually. So
y'all can thank me later for sweeping the Yankees for y'all last.
Well,
week,
there you go. Great job with that. As the New York Yankees are 10 games back.
It just goes to show how terrible they are without Aaron Judge.
Well, they're not only terrible without Aaron Judge, but I mean, they're pitching wise. I mean, we continue to talk about the Rays pitching and defense. That's exactly what has hampered this Yankees team all year long.
Well, I will say this about the Rays. This is their time to take full advantage and to take this division and to put it as far out of reach as possible.
Correct.
Because, I mean, listen, I don't want to talk bad about the Rays. I'm a Red Sox fan. Don't let my Red Sox get hot.
Well, it's true. You don't want any of those teams at the end of the day to get hot. You don't want to see it. No.
No, absolutely not. But the Rays have looked good. I've been watching the games. I've been watching the highlights. They look good. I just don't want to see what happens to the Rays happen to the Rays all the time. They come out and they look great. And then by the end of the season, you're like, what the hell happened?
Yep. And it's a totally
Every
different season.
time.
When you get to the playoffs, it's a totally different season.
I remember
it is.
And then something else is Rays related, but it really doesn't. I didn't know Evan Longoria was in his 16th season. That's crazy, right?
Yes. I remember his rookie year in 2008. Consequently the year they went to the World Series.
Yeah.
Yes. Him and David Price.
I look at it, I'm like, man, Carl Crawford, David Price, James Shields, all these guys. Hey, look, see, I'm a
Ben
baseball
Zobrist.
fan. Listen, I'm a sports fan. It's not just that I love my Red Sox. I watch sports. Like, I know these guys' teams. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Rays had a great team. They just have not been able to get over the top.
It's true. They have not been able to get over the top with all the talent that they've had, and it's been a little bit disappointing.
You know what? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So I mean, listen, the Yankees are. It's crazy that you have 3 players on that team.
Yep.
That you're paying almost $1 billion to.
$1 billion to. You look at the San Diego Padres, who the Rays just lost the series to, but look how many players they're paying. And I've been a proponent of, I believe the Rays should spend over $100 million, but they have shown you what they could do with this. They don't need to, but it would be nice if they did just a little bit more money. Right.
And if you look at it, I'm not trying to sports hop. The New England Patriots are the same way.
Sure.
They won all those years. And they had they weren't paying players $100 million.
No, they weren't. And Brady was taking less money for them to go out there and sign their own free agents so they can continue to contend the Brady blueprint working at its best. What else, Curtis?
Oh man, I'm just waiting. I'm excited about sports. I'm actually excited to watch the NBA draft tomorrow.
Really? Who do you like the Magic to take? Because that's been the story. 6-11. We didn't really get into that, but that is a young and scary team. Watch out, Orlando Magic fans. I'm just saying.
We need a good veteran. We need somebody that's
So
going
you're
to
ready.
put these-
You're ready to trade some of these young. I'm not ready to do that yet. I think
No,
you
I
keep the
would-
players that you have.
No. The players that we have are great.
Okay.
I'd say trade 6 and 11 and go get a veteran.
Well, we'll see.
Why not?
We'll see what they do. We'll see what is on their minds. I've heard some rumors. Mikal Bridges from the Nets.
Yep.
Would you like him? I mean, he's had some off the court stuff, but he's talented. He could be a potential star on this team. I mean, are you worried that you disrupt this locker room? You have Paulo Boncaro, who could be one of the best young players in the league, if not the best young player in the league, with being the Rookie of the Year. You have Franz Wagner, who is improved.
If he would have been willing to come here, I would have loved to see Damian Lillard in a Magic jersey.
Yeah, but I don't know how much you have to give up. I mean, you have to give up everything. You have to give up those 2 first-round picks along with multiple. Are you doing that? I would love to see it too. I don't know if Damian Lillard envisions the Magic as a team right now that's ready to win a championship. And I think that's where Damian is. I think that's where Dame is.
I mean, I understand that. The thing about it is all this good young talent.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. He hasn't had any real talent around him since what was that guy's name that played with him over there? I forgot.
CJ McCollum.
CJ McCollum.
Yeah, CJ McCollum.
It was him and CJ McCollum. That was it.
Yeah.
And if he got all these young guys in Orlando, he could groom these guys. And these kids aren't out here BSing. They want to play. They want to play and they want to win.
They want to win. And a lot of it was talked about last year how the Magic should have tanked. They didn't want to tank. They wanted to win. They were in that playoff contention. The last couple of weeks fell out. But, I mean, I think the future is bright. As crazy and corny as that sounds for a Magic fan, because I know that's what you're saying almost every year. The future is bright with this Orlando Magic team when it comes to Boncaro and, of course, Wagner there. I just think those are 2 building blocks, and whatever else they have. Markelle Fultz is able to stay healthy. Hopefully, Jonathan Isaac, that's a decision they're going to have to make.
Man,
I love the kid. He can't stay healthy, though, but his wingspan, guarding on the perimeter, what he can do, it's amazing. You were comparing him to Kevin Durant when he was coming out of Florida State. I mean, that is the potential he had. He hasn't not been able to live up to that potential because he hasn't been able to stay healthy, Curtis. Thanks a lot for the call. We got to get to turnbuckle talk. Yes, sir.
I know. I'm definitely tuning in.
I know you will. I know you will, my friend.
Peter.
Yes.
We should go to the creamsicle game.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see what I'm doing that game. We'll see if I can go to it or not.
It's a Sunday. Is that a Sunday? It's a Sunday game, right?
It's a Sunday day game, I believe. It's 1:00. Who knows? I may be covering it for the Sports Web. I'm just throwing it out there. A little preview. I may be covering it. Who knows? But we definitely got to get together sometime, Curtis.
Well, how about we try to tailgate at for the Sports Web at the Bucs Stadium?
I think that could be a good idea, and that'll be an idea that I'll definitely put into my mind here and see what we can come up with, my friend. Believe it or not.
All right, brother. I'll be back on soon.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Let me give you the Ric Flair right there. Great call, as always, from Curtis from Newport Richie. Does a hell of a job. I guess he's gone there, so no more Curtis. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Ralph says here in the comments, in the private comments, stick with what works with the Rays. Well, again, spend a little bit more money than what you're spending, and who knows, maybe you have a World Series by now. Just saying. Christopher Cole says, hey, everyone, what's going on?
Oh, yeah.
Ron, who just called in, the Marine, Bucs, fantastic. McCleary, hi, Pete. We love you. Appreciate the love, my friend. Christopher Cole says, Aerosmith and Leonard Skinner. Good choices, my friend.
Yeah.
Let's go out to Stan here, author. We're proud to have Peter Blake as a part of the I Love St. Pete family, going on over 3 years now as our sports guy. Great show. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. As always, Stan. That means a lot. It really does. And then Christopher Cole says, if we would have kept linebacker Grant Stewart, we would have had another redhead. That's very true. Good stuff. Chris
Ooh,
McCall.
yeah.
Let's go out to the bodyguard of the Berg, newest Pittsburgh radio personality, Mr. Ralph Williams. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. I saw the show the other day. Great job. Tell me all about it. How did you feel about being back on radio again? Welcome to the Sports Web.
Well, here's what happened, Peter. I had this ambition for a long time to get back on the radio, and I'm not going to make the mistakes I made earlier in my tenure on the radio back in the late 80s, early 90s. I refuse to do that. I had enough of the same old sports talk in this town, and it's getting old, and people are getting tired of it. So now it's time for a new voice, and I appreciate you watching the show on Facebook. And, and I got 164 views. So, the show is going to be great on Beaver County Radio. I'm going to take Beaver County Radio to the limits as well, to where we go. And I'm going to help promote them. They are the ones who, gave me this opportunity, and I'm not going to forget about it. And it's the greatest thing in the world. I'm so happy. I just don't know. I have no words. I mean, I'm just so happy about this.
Hey, man, you deserve it. You're a hard worker. You're always on this show. Anytime I need you to talk wrestling, to talk Pittsburgh sports, we appreciate you. You deserve it. And I know what it's all about because I've been in radio before. It's a bug. That's the reason why I do the Sports Web in the first place. I would love to do it more nights than Monday and Wednesday. And who knows, maybe in the future we'll do that. But with that being said, let's go out to the major storyline in WWE right now. It's the Bloodline. I mean, how did you feel about what happened on Friday night? Was that picture perfect or what?
Oh, yes, it was. And I got to tell you, Peter, the match coming up with the Usos versus Solo and Roman Reigns, this is going to be real interesting here. I called this, but I thought it was going to happen at WrestleMania, but it happened later. And, but I said the Bloodline's going down, and, Mark didn't believe me, and a bunch of people, Smoking Jim, didn't believe me. But guess what? Here it goes. The Bloodline's going down. And now there's rumors they're going to resurface with different people. Some cousins are running around and wrestling here, connected with the Bloodline. So, I wanted to tell you too, Peter, and I don't know if you noticed already, one match has been set for SummerSlam. It's going to be Gunther versus Brock Lesnar for the Intercontinental title.
Interesting. Very interesting at the end of the day.
And it's going to be in Detroit, Michigan.
Really pushing Gunther at the end of the day. We'll get more of that later on, but we'll go back to it on Friday night. And I was surprised how it turned out. I thought it was going to happen that way, but it was just perfect how Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns are basically saying to Jay at the time, or to Jimmy, that Jimmy didn't believe in Jay. Right. And then Jay turns around and goes, you're out. And then I'm out too, and super kicks Roman Reigns right in the face. Because I thought he was going to turn on him. And I think
so did I.
On watching,
I was sitting there too. I had the same mindset with that, Peter. It was interesting, Well,
where did it go from there? I mean, I know they're going to have a match eventually, but do you think the Usos can stand on their own? Is it a good thing that the Bloodline storyline has kind of ended, if you will?
Yeah, I think that the Usos can stand on their own. They have before. And, they have, what are they, 7 or 8 time tag team champions?
Yeah.
So I believe that they can do that. But here's a scenario here, Peter, that I've been hearing about. Jimmy Uso, his contract's run out shortly. He's planning on going to Impact to be with his wife, Trinity. Jay's going to be a singles competitor. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I don't know if you could see them doing that, but it certainly seems like you could see it happening, right? Because his an Impact. Jay, I think, is more over than Jimmy. Jay could be a single.
I think he's a better wrestler. I really do. I
think it also started with Sami Zayn and the whole Bloodline storyline at first. You could see the personality. You could see the wrestling moves. I hate when they break up tag teams, but eventually they're going to have to go that direction. It hurts the tag team division as a whole.
Yes, it does.
Through WWE, but it seems like WWE really doesn't value the tag teams there.
No, they do not. I like AEW. They value their tag teams. I don't like WWE with the tag teams right now. like the Good Brothers. They haven't wrestled for a while, and the Viking Raiders, now they're heels, and who knows what they're going to do.
Right.
And then you got the Alpha Academy with Otis and Maxine Dupree and running around, as baby faces now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then you got Giovanni Da Vinci as the Imperium trying to get in the faces of the tag team champions. I heard a story today. I don't know if it's a rumor that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are going to break up, and there's going to be a match between the two of them at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've already seen that match. I don't want to see that again.
I don't either.
They got
they've done it too many times. I don't want to see it either. Yeah.
What you got to do is you already have the momentum. They're both over as superstars. You got to keep the tag team together and get them a rival for them to compete with. I kind of go back in the 80s and 90s, right? You had the Road Warriors. Well, you had the Road Warriors. You also had the Steiners. Okay.
Right. Yes. You had the Steiners. Right. You had the Rock and Roll Express. You had the Midnight Express. Correct. You had all those great tag teams. Yes. Correct. You had the Four Horsemen, the Anderson brothers, and sometimes Arn and Tully Blanchard. So you had some great tag teams back in them days. Now the tag team division stinks. They're talking about bringing back AOP, Peter, the Authors of Pain. I mean, how many more times you can bring these guys back?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what Triple H is doing, but it certainly seems like Vince once again has his and we'll get back to that in a moment. But I don't know if you caught NXT last night. Pretty good match between Braun Breaker.
I did catch that match.
Who's more Scott Steiner than Rick Steiner to me. And I can't believe he's Rick Steiner's kid, because every time he gets on the mic, I think of Scott.
He even looks like Scott.
Scott than
a younger Scott Steiner. Yeah.
Both talented wrestlers in their day, but I definitely think the sky is the limit for this kid. Now, Bill Apter, longtime wrestling journalist, if you will, had this to say about Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker's match last night at NXT. He says it wasn't the showcase that he wanted for Braun Breaker. He also said that Breaker is currently in the league of Damian Priest. Now, we talked about Priest and what he did against Bad Bunny. Now he's in the good graces. He looks like he's going to be a main eventer here eventually. He needs to get away from, he needs
to get away from the Judgment Day, Peter. I agree with you on that. That has to happen.
The Judgment Day needs to be ended, and we'll see how that works. But Apter says it was not the showcase that I wanted for Braun Breaker. I just don't think it showcased him in the way they really wanted. I mean, he looks so much like his dad, and he acts so much like his dad, but he's much bigger. To me, he's someone who's in the current league of Damian Priest, growing toward that really big prime spot, but it just didn't hit me tonight. The rest of the show was good, but they went way over on so many matches that there was no time for the championship match. Once again, Bill Apter, longtime wrestling journalist. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with him on that one as well. I didn't watch the whole show. I caught the tail end of it because I wanted to see Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. The interesting part is next week we have Carmelo Hayes taking on Baron Corbin. They're trying to get Baron Corbin back in business. And, they think by shipping him to NXT, I'm hearing stories now AJ Styles may be showing up down there for some matches. So they're starting to do that just like they did with Apollo Crews, just like they did with Finn Balor. They're going to start sending some of these guys down to NXT to kind of resurrect their career, just like when you get traded in the NFL and you go to another team. Sometimes the change of atmosphere, can help you. And that's why they're shipping Baron Corbin back down to NXT.
Well, and I think, Baron Corbin is getting to that point where you've changed his character so many times. Has that?
Oh, gosh.
Can he work? Because I kind of think about, Sting. He reinvents himself. Chris Jericho is great at reinventing himself. He's done that the last 20 years. And I feel like they've got to do that, or he's got to do that, because to me, his character is ruined. And at the end of the day, it's about caring about that character. Do they care enough to watch Baron Corbin if they put him down in NXT? Why are they putting him down in NXT? In your opinion, can they salvage his career?
I don't think so, Peter. I think it's damaged already. Like you said, he's been through so many characters. And now he's trying to go back to being Baron Corbin. If they would have left him like that, I think he would have been better off. Going into this being poor and then being rich, and then happy Corbin, and then egghead Corbin or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, they just kept on doing it and doing it. Sting and Jericho, they reinvented themselves really well. Especially, I liked Sting 2 times. I liked him in WCW when he was more like the Scarecrow kind of guy. And then I liked him in TNA when he was Joker Sting. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed him putting paint all over Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. It was a blast. I still watch those videos. It's a blast.
It is a blast, and a lot of people were surprised by it, and they said, well, it's kind of a ripoff. He kind of ripped off Brandon Lee and the Crow there with the character, but it worked. That was Paul's idea at the time. And then Ledger with the Joker, he was playing off of that, but he made it work. It wasn't a joke.
Yes.
Entertaining TV, and it's crazy. The greats can reinvent themselves. Hulk Hogan for years is Hulk Hogan. Hey, brother.
Right.
And then they say, you know what? You need to turn heel and you need to shock the world. And he's able to do that and able to get a second life. I think it's amazing.
Hey, don't forget when Hulk Hogan, Peter, was Mr. America. Remember that one?
Right. Right. But it's still the same. It's still the same character.
Yeah, but Mr. America with a mask on.
Mr. America with the mask on, where I'm the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams, Beaver County there, newest Pittsburgh radio personality. I'm your host, Peter Blake here, Turnbuckle Talk. Let's go out to Wrestling Observer Radio from Dave Metzler of F4W Online. He talks about Vince and his involvement. Again, drastic changes before Monday's WWE Raw. In fact, 30 minutes, he says, that was the plan, open challenge. The open challenge was supposed to happen until the last minute. Vince changed the first 30 minutes of the show. I heard it was totally changed. Metzler also said Vince really wanted this whole Seth Rollins angle with Finn Balor. I think he just wanted something big, something bigger for Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, because I think it's just to heat up Finn Balor. To be fair, I know people who are there who told me, look, as far as the 30 minutes that Vince put in, it was better than the 30 minutes that was taken out. So whatever that means, they worked really hard at building Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. Your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. See, Raw, Peter, is losing ratings. They're a 3-hour show. They have to find material. But this Vince McMahon changing stuff at the last minute, that's like, they rehearsed this stuff. I watched them do it with ROH when I used to work security for him here in town, when ROH used to come here and tape twice a year. And I used to work security at the facility they were at. And, they used to rehearse this stuff, and I used to watch it, and it was interesting. To have to last minute change things, that doesn't work in the WWE. It's just like it doesn't work in a movie. It doesn't work in a TV series, because you have to tape this stuff. You have to actually choreograph everything and everything else. And when you change stuff at the last minute, that throws everybody off. And then everybody was expecting, Seth Rollins to have this open challenge. And all of a sudden, Finn Balor comes out and beats him up, throws him all over the place. And then the next night he has a match with Braun Breaker. And I'm like, you know what? That was ridiculous. And the WWE, I don't think they know, Peter, what to do with Raw, because Raw is boring. They need to do something with Raw. They need to either cut it down to 2 hours, put it on a network TV, get another network involved, put it on Fox again. I don't know. I mean, they got to do something.
Well, Fox already has the rights to SmackDown, but you're exactly right. And Raw's gone from the flagship where it's must-see TV
to boring
to an aftermath, and I think it goes down to the 3 hours. You got to cut it down to 2 hours. You got to make the characters and the storylines interesting. And you're exactly right. You can't have this, changing on the fly stuff, because it doesn't necessarily work. In this case, according to the people backstage, it did work. Of course, Baylor attacks Rollins as Judgment Day looks to cause chaos. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn defeat Judgment Day, because they're setting up Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio.
That match shouldn't even happen, Peter. That's a disgraceful match.
Do they know what they're doing with Cody Rhodes at this point?
No, because I'm going to tell you what, they better not screw him around, because I'll tell you what, he dropped being an executive vice president for AEW to come there to be the superstar, and then all of a sudden at the last minute, Triple H goes, we're going to let the story continue. And I'm hearing stories now he's not liked in the locker room, because supposedly they spoon-fed him as soon as he came to the WWE, he was automatically in a big match. And Vince McMahon made all these promises, or Triple H made all these promises to him, or whatever. Or well, actually, Vince McMahon, because McMahon was still in power when Cody came in last year before he got hurt, and he made him all these promises, and then Triple H changes everything, and that's where Cody Rhodes got screwed. I don't think right now they know what to do with him because they messed the whole thing up. That the whole plan they messed up.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I trust Triple H. I think he definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to storyline. What I don't trust is Vince involved. If Vince is involved, then most likely he wants to keep the belt on Roman Reigns, and I think that's ran its course. Tommaso Ciampa,
yes, it has.
He attacked The Miz, pinfall. They were working together, and then the big getting turned some people off when they were watching it. Logan Paul announced was gotten the Money in the Bank. I think Paul is tremendous. He's definitely a tremendous wrestler. Triple H just talked about it. He's way too talented for his own good, especially with not having the wrestling experience. He's over his character. What do you think about Logan Paul being added to the Money in the Bank? It was assumed that LA Knight was going to be the guy that's going to win the Money in the Bank. Now I'm kind of questioning, is it going to be Logan Paul? And you put Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins. They already have that natural rivalry. Would you do that?
Another wrestler, LA Knight. They don't know what to do with him. So, I mean, and if they promised him Money in the Bank and then now all of a sudden here comes Logan Paul, just shows up out of nowhere, they had to bring him in, Peter, because if you take a look at the lineup, they don't have a big star in that lineup for that Money in the Bank for the men's. They don't. What do they got? Ricochet. They got Bronson Reed. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? They don't have anybody with name quality at all in there, and they had to do that.
That's the reason why you bring him in. Now, with all that being said, Raw bounced back Monday night to unusual or usual levels with the 1.82 million viewers, 1.82. I remember when they were doing a 5 share, a 7 share. I mean, that's when wrestling was in its golden age. Of course, WCW being around and the Monday Night Wars. Now it's a 1.82 with 0.56 rating and 18-49. The numbers were a huge increase from last week when the show went against the final game of the NBA playoffs. It is Raw's best 18-49 number in 5 weeks. So some good things coming out there. Now, the other big story in the wrestling world was the return of CM Punk to AEW Collision. Your thoughts on that whole thing?
Well, I thought that they should have had CM Punk in a singles match, not teamed up with FTR. But he's friends with them. I think that's one of the only friends he has, in the whole organization. It was nice to see Miro back because he's been sort of out of the game for a little while. And then, what's his name? Andrade, he come back and now he's hurt again. So, I mean, it's like one thing after another with him. He seems to be, stepping on nails and can't seem to get his footing right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, that's the story with Andrade, and that's a shame. I kind of like Andrade. And, now, they have a lot of guys there they don't know what to do with. Now they have this show, and they ship some of them to ROH. Tony Khan should be able to stabilize his roster now and please just about everybody if he can, because he's got too many guys there, and he don't know what to do with them. And WWE, like Mark said last week, is starting to get in the same realm.
Well, AEW does have a good problem, but they do have 3 shows now, so they can definitely divide it up now. Eric Bischoff on his 83 Weeks podcast, of course, 83 Weeks when he was beating WWE at the time, WCW.
Right.
He said about the AEW Collision show, I more than enjoyed the show. It completely erased the last 12 months, of my opinion, of AEW, and I'm going into it with an entirely clean slate. And after that, Bischoff ran through some of the highlights he saw in the new series. I can't overemphasize how impressed I was with Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness, who are the 2 new announcers there.
I like Nigel McGuinness.
I like Nigel.
Great announcer.
Wrestler.
Knows his wrestling, too. Yes.
Kevin Kelly goes all the way back to WWF days with him.
He was in MLW, Peter.
Yes, he was.
He was in MLW.
Believe he was in Ring of Honor, too. Wasn't he at a time?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, he was.
Beginning of it. The retired wrestling executive shared the style of Kelly McGinnis is the closest match to his preferred type of commentary that he's heard in a very long time. Additionally, Bischoff had strong things to say about the booking of Collision. Whomever booked this was in the room. Whomever had the most influence over the formatting and pacing, don't ever let that person out of your sight. Maybe it is on. I don't think so, because I've never seen anything out of AEW come remotely close to the level of near perfection of Collision formatting. It sounds like Bischoff wants a job again. While it's clear that he enjoyed the show, Bischoff wasn't completely without criticism. Please, somebody take a look at the backstage promos, because they really hurt the overall product. They demonstrated here that they have the ability. They just need to lean into it a little bit more. Your thoughts?
Well, you know what, Bischoff, speaking of a job, he had a job. When SmackDown first was on Fox, he was supposed to get SmackDown going. And he ended up sitting in the back and catering, doing nothing, and they fired him. So, Bischoff has a podcast. He also does some documentaries. I've seen him on several of them. And he also has been on some shows, on the WWE Network at times. He has a nice big house up in the woods in Wyoming. So, I don't think he needs a job. Maybe he's bored and he might need a job. Sometimes people get bored when they're retired. They can't find anything to do with themselves. They don't want to go fishing or hunting or anything like that out there in Wyoming. So what they decide to do is he wants to get back into it. So, he's going to throw his comments in there. He throws them on Twitter too. I've seen some of his comments on Twitter already.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think Bischoff was telling the truth, because I enjoyed the show with watching.
Yes, I liked it myself. Yes, I did.
Punk coming out, the return of one Bill Phil. And with that Collision, they did a 0.33 in the 18 to 49 demographic. It was third on cable. And of course, the big story there was CM Punk and his promo that he had. And according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, he reports that some people on both sides who felt that Punk was getting out what he needed to get out, through others felt that his line about being soft was hypocritical, as he was clearly upset with his storyline with Hangman Page and both the promos and the spots within it. Punk's line about Warner Brothers Discovery executive calling him one Bill Phil, it stirred up speculation about AEW's deal with Warner Brothers Discovery that was rumored to be lucrative. Per Sapp, sources noted the Young Bucks took the promo lightheartedly and told everyone who asked that things were okay. He also said this about with the Young Bucks, saying that Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav, calls him one Bill Phil because he's the one true, genuine Bill in a business full of counterfeit bucks. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
There. I think this is setting up a storyline at the end of the day with both of these parties, the Young Bucks, CM Punk, FTR, whatever they want to do. They're setting this up, but the winner here has to be either Kenny Omega versus CM Punk, or it's going to be MJF versus CM Punk. And that storyline is Punk never lost the belt. He was hurt.
No, he didn't. No.
Now
he had to give it up because he was injured. Yeah. So
what did you think about CM Punk and that pipe bomb, as he would always say?
Well, you know what? I think CM Punk's going to say what he wants, and that's his style. You can't say any more than that about him, Peter. But I will say this: I do like CM Punk for that fact that he tells it like it is, because that's the way I am. I have that show the way I see it, and you watched my radio show yesterday.
Sure.
And you see how, I tell it like it is no matter what. And, I'll say it like I see it, and that's CM Punk. But it would be interesting to see CM Punk versus MJF again. I would like to see that, because I would like to see him beat MJF. I'm not an MJF fan. I've never liked him. One time I met him at the Peterson Event Center, AEW's first event there, and he was friends with Cody Rhodes. He come over to me and he said, "How are you? How you doing?" I said, "I'm good." I was talking to Cody Rhodes because I knew him from ROH when I used to do security, and so I was able to talk to Cody Rhodes as well. twice I got to see Cody Rhodes, which was a great thing for me. But like I said, I don't mind that kind of rivalry. Kenny Omega, he needs to get himself back in order after Don Callis walked away from him. And the Young Bucks, they haven't done anything really other than the Trios Championship, and they keep losing the belts. They have to start getting relevant or move on. That's all I have to say.
He also had this to say, I'm sorry that the only people softer than you are the wrestlers you like. Tell me when I'm telling lies. That was from CM Punk. And there was a report that he did a sit down with ESPN where he was very forthcoming. And again, I just don't think that AEW would allow him to do that unless it was for storyline purposes. For me, I just
plus publicity, Peter. AEW, by him saying things, and he's with AEW. Oh yeah, there he is. He's on ESPN, just like some of the WWE wrestlers have been on ESPN.
Yeah, I think they're basically trying to get more support for
Right.
AEW. They're trying to sell this storyline. Let's go out to Bleacher Report here because they also had a story on the top 10 wrestlers in 2023 so far. The year's not over yet, but we're halfway through. Number 10, Sheamus. Number 9, Rhea Ripley. Number 8, Orange Cassidy. Number 7, Cody Rhodes. A little bit low for you there with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I think it's low. Yeah.
And then 6, Bryan Danielson. Your thoughts on that ranking?
Bryan Danielson, he's slowing up again. I think I heard as soon as his contract's up with AEW, he's done, and I think this time he's going to be done for a long time. He's retired like at least 3 times maybe, and we'll see what goes on. He'll come back if the money's right. Like Rodney Dangerfield said, back to school. If the roast beef's right, you'll be back. Well, if the money's right, they'll be back.
Good stuff there. Bodyguard of the Berg, Ralph Williams there, the way he sees it. Number 5 is Gunther. The ring general turned in a decline.
Yeah, Gunther's a good wrestler. I mean,
to start the year, the men's Royal Rumble match, setting a record for the longest appearance in the 30-strong version of the bout. He also turned in a 5-star contest against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 39. Yes. They say he's a hard-hitting, no-nonsense wrestler. He has the ability to make any match look like a grueling war of attrition. Pretty accurate there. I thought he would be a little bit higher than 5, right?
Yeah, I thought so too because he's done well so far. And I can't wait, Peter, to see that SummerSlam match against Brock Lesnar. Oh, my gosh, that's going to be a war. And, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that as well.
All right, so let's go back to it here. The other wrestler that is listed as Sami Zayn at 4. This is interesting. Exploded back into the best wrestler list here in 2023 with the first half of the year that rivals and any other competitors from WWE. The underdog from the underground followed up some of the best creative of his career with the in-ring performances benefiting it, including one of the most emotional main events in recent history against Roman Reigns in his hometown of Montreal. Of course, throwing a match of the year candidate with Kevin Owens against the Usos at WrestleMania 39. Strong tag team trios matches on weekly television. Sami Zayn is definitely an underused talent, and he showed his abilities. I hope they don't break up that tag team, but I do understand where you're coming from, and I could understand where WWE is coming from because maybe lack of superstar power, you've got that with Zayn.
Yeah, absolutely, you do. It's interesting. We're going to find out what happens with him and Kevin Owens because Kevin Owens is starting to go crazy and Sami Zayn's the mellow guy. And, that can be a combustible element there. We're going to find out what happens. I hope they stay together and I hope they keep the titles for a while. I just wish that the WWE would give them their new belts and get rid of those 2 belts that they're carrying around. And they need to get the 2 belts off of Paul Heyman that he keeps carrying them around like he's some kind of champion. He's he's a champion of porta potties or something. He's no champion at all.
Oh, so, Paul Heyman is such a legend in the wrestling business, but yes, definitely not a wrestler. Number 3, your favorite, MJF at number 3. Does not wrestle a ton, magnifying the significance of his in-ring performance.
No, he doesn't.
He finally does. The self-proclaimed devil wrestled one, if not the greatest Iron Man matches in the modern era against Bryan Danielson in February at Revolution. From there, he retained his title in another great match, a 4-way against Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. in which the competitors reminded fans and analysts alike why they considered the 4 pillars of AEW. And then a strong match with Adam Cole on June 14th, episode of Dynamite that went 30 minutes and hinted at a pay-per-view bout for the top prize in the company, only blustered the Hills' argument for inclusion in the top 5. I know what you think about MJF, but I definitely think he's over. He's a heel. He's probably the best heel in the business. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree with you, Peter. You know, you don't have to like a wrestler, but you can respect them.
Yeah.
I don't like Roman Reigns, but I respect him for what he does. I don't like MJF, but I respect him for what he does because they do it well. You know, and MJF has great mic skills. I mean, he comes up there, he says what he has to say, and he's not afraid to say it either. And, you know, he's always bad-mouthing the company, and then he's always talking about the WWE because the story I'm hearing now is as soon as his contract's up in January of 2024, he's going to WWE. He keeps talking about it all the time. I don't know if that's a storyline or if it's for real. And it seems like it could be for real. And I mean, you know, he thought he wasn't going to be wrestling in that pay-per-view where they go against New Japan Wrestling. Yeah, the Forbidden Door. He didn't think he was going to be a part of that. And then Tony Khan stuck him right into a match. And I was glad that Tony Khan stepped up and did that.
All right, let's go out to these comments here on the sports web. Let's go out to Ron. Best interactive program for the Bucs, Lightning, and Rays in all sports. Appreciate you. And Christopher Cole says, I started watching the biography on YouTube about wrestlers, and it's pretty good. There you go. We got involved there.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the dark side of wrestling or whatever else AEW, not AEW, A&E puts out for WWE. Great stuff. Number 2. Who's number 2?
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. What makes the tribal chief great is that he knows infinite variations of a suplex, or because he trained in Japanese dojos. He's the measuring stick in the business because he understands the intricacies that go into his ring performances. He is also Reigns is a master of all those. Look no further than what he was able to do with Sami Zayn in Montreal. Rewatch the WrestleMania main event with Cody Rhodes and pay close attention to how Reigns puts over the story of the match and a way he carries himself and communicates with the audience. Your thoughts on the tribal chief?
Yeah, he does. I'll tell you what, Mark said this once before. He said this had to be the best thing for his career, Roman Reigns, because he was a babyface for a while after the Shield broke down.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, he wasn't getting a lot of fanfare. Now he's a heel. And then he you know, he's taken the championship. He's held it all these times. And then he put together the bloodline. So, I mean, I know he's like a part-time wrestler, but at least he comes on the shows. And sometimes he'll even team up and wrestle. So at least he does that. People like Brock Lesnar don't do any of that. And that's that. And Logan Paul. I mean, you know, those guys are just part-time. You know, they show up whenever they feel like it. And, you know, I heard Bill Goldberg was getting $1 million a match when he wrestled, and he was only part-time. So, you know, we'll see what goes on with him because I keep hearing he's going to AEW, but he hasn't shown up yet.
All right, and the number 1 wrestler in 2023, according to Bleacher Report, is who?
Oh, that's a good one. There's a lot of them.
The visionary Seth Rollins. Says for years, fans.
That's my man. I like Seth Rollins. I like his laugh. I like it all.
Yeah. Fans waited for Seth Rollins to put it all together and become the total package. When he turned heel, cashed in the Money in the Bank, and reigned over WWE as the chosen one of the authority, he still felt like a pawn in a larger story, still aimed at enhancing Triple H and Stephanie McMahon's roles as the top villains in the company. He said over the next 3 years, he developed the visionary, switched up his ring gear, found he could conduct an orchestra of fans as they sang his song, and finally revealed to the world an on-screen persona that would keep the fans in his corner. Of course, an unabashed workhorse who can compete with Bobby Lashley, Austin Theory for the United States Championships, and then turn around and deliver one of the best matches at WrestleMania weekend against a mostly untrained performer in Logan Paul. Rollins is the hottest streak of his in-ring career to date. Let's go out to the phone lines. Curtis, welcome back to the Evolution. You're on Turnbuckle Talk with yours truly, along with the bodyguard of the bird, Mr. Ralph Williams.
Hey, Curtis.
How you doing, brother, man?
What's going on, man?
Good.
Oh man, listen, I like the Seth Rollins at number one because I'm gonna tell you something. This whole him and Finn Balor thing, we were supposed to have this in 2016.
We were, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you right now, Finn Balor was over back then, and if he doesn't get hurt, more than likely he's your world heavyweight champion.
Yes.
Well, remember he was the Universal Champion,
right?
And then the following week, now I think it was the same night. That's when they had that 4-way match, and Triple H came from out of the crowd and screwed Roman over, and that's when Kevin Owens won the title.
That's right. I think you're correct about that. But there was a push for Finn at the time where he was going to be the champion, and then he gets hurt, and he's out for some months. But you're exactly right.
Yep.
I love this buildup of it. And it kind of goes back to Vince. Vince wanted to make this a little bit bigger than it was, and he kind of did. So you're kind of interested now to see Seth Rollins, who's on a hot streak right now, who's completely over. He's a heel, and he's not supposed to be getting in the crowd the way he is, but he is. So he's almost like a baby face.
Yeah, but what you love about Seth Rollins is this guy wrestles every night. Every night you see Seth Rollins, this guy is great. And
he's not a part-time champion, Curtis, and that's a good thing.
I compare him, and y'all might not agree, but he's like Randy Orton. Randy Orton was always there every week. Every week in the ring.
Yep.
John Cena was here and there, kind of like Roman. You know, he would show up, but he wouldn't wrestle every week. But Randy Orton was in the ring every night doing something. And that's what I love about Seth Rollins. Like, this guy is, you love to hate him, but you hate to love him.
Yeah,
like,
I think he's more entertaining than Randy Orton. I think Orton was over, but his character it grew stale.
Well, Orton never changed. Orton, when he tried to be a good guy, it was like,
we talked about this. You're reinventing yourself. There's been wrestlers that have been successful. We talked about Sting, Chris Jericho. I cannot believe this, guys. We saw this the other night on AEW. Sting and Chris Jericho came face to face. This is the first time they actually came face to face in a ring. How did that wrestling match not happen in WCW or in WWE at the time?
Because in WCW, if you weren't part of the NWO or part of that world heavyweight title contention, you kind of didn't matter.
Right.
You kind of didn't matter. And, Chris Jericho, he was part, he would win the TV title, and he might even win the tag team titles, but he wasn't part of the bigger storyline. You know what I'm saying?
Underrated guy. And eventually he left with Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and Dean Malenko, and they became the Radicals, and that was some of the most underused talent at the time.
And that's going back to what you guys were just saying about MJF and Roman. Like, these guys are such great heels. People hate them, but they love to hate them.
Love to hate them.
That it's made them so big. And that was my point about CM Punk. CM Punk is probably one of the world's biggest buttholes. But people love butthole.
Yes,
they really do. I mean, come on, man.
You don't want the CM Punk from last year who said, I'm just happy to be here. You want the guy that's having the pipe bombs. And I think it's a good thing that Kenny Omega.
The guy that's stirring up controversy all the time, and he does
That's the guy you want.
Yes.
You guys are older,
and he does it with his mouth. I mean, he's good at it.
You guys are older like me. The thing that made Austin so great is because everybody had that in them where they were like, man, F my boss.
Right.
And everybody loved to watch him terrorize Vince, or what is he going to do to Vince next week?
Sure.
You know what I mean? We all tuned in just for that.
Just for that. Him and The Rock, him and McMahon.
We'd probably spend a whole show talking about all the times Austin went and McMahon. I think the best one was when he posed as a doctor, went in a hospital and beat him over the head with a bedpan. I like that one.
Classic WWE television right there. Yes.
Yes. And then he poured the concrete in his Corvette. That was even funny too. The whole thing was hilarious.
He pulled the gun on him in the ring and it said bang.
Yeah. And it went boom.
316, you just pissed your pants. I remember. I mean, that's the good stuff that you don't necessarily always have anymore. That's the stuff you're missing.
But the problem is, Peter, we live in a politically correct world.
I know, man. I know.
That's the problem.
I can't deal,
you know
man.
what I'm saying?
I can't
deal. Too much of it.
When they try to go over the top, you know, they'd be like, well, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
Because
no.
I mean, listen, I remember days DX used to do stuff. You'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe these guys just did this.
Yep.
They used to terrorize Sergeant Slaughter. Oh my God, they used to terrorize Sergeant Slaughter.
Yes, the chin.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll give you guys a classic example here, Peter and Curtis. In this town here, we had some really nice comic morning guys that used to put on some really good skits. Now you can't do that stuff anymore because if you offend somebody, they'll sue you. And it's one thing after another. And like you said, Curtis, it's too much of a politically correct world, and that's where we are with everything now.
Yeah, it's kind of taken the fun out of wrestling. It has.
Yeah,
it's people and their sensitivity.
Yep.
You know, that's why. I mean, listen, I love Edge. Edge is, to me, is one of my top 5 wrestlers of all time, because not only will he go in the ring and he'll wrestle, but he can rock the mic.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I mean,
another one that was good with the mic.
Who can rock the mic better than The Rock? Who can rock the mic better? Right.
Edge would show up out of nowhere, like that time where the Undertaker was in the Hell in a Cell match, and he came from up under the ring.
Yep.
With the camera, and he bashed the Undertaker with the camera. And I'm like, oh.
Good stuff, man. Very good stuff. All right. What did you think about CM Punk coming back? Is that what you wanted to see? You wanted to still see the pipe bomb from CM Punk? And do you think they can continue those great shows on Saturday night on AEW Collision?
I think. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. This is my God honest opinion, and I really want y'all opinion on what I'm about to say.
Sure.
I think CM Punk lost a lot of his
fire.
Yeah, when he left the WWE, and
he did.
That's
because he was off for 7 years, and then he tried to do MMA, and it didn't work.
Yeah,
so, I mean, that's probably why.
He was trying to become Austin 2.0, but the problem was you couldn't be that.
No,
he couldn't.
No,
you know what I'm saying, and. You couldn't go.
Nobody's like Vince McMahon. Nobody's like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Nobody.
You couldn't go against John Cena. John Cena carried the company for years.
Yes.
That was the golden goose. Like, you can't go against the golden goose.
I think what his problem is when a guy like Dwayne Johnson comes in and he's a part-timer, and you basically just put the belt on him before WrestleMania, and of course he's going to go against John Cena, but you put the belt on him, and CM Punk for years I think it was like over 300 days or something ridiculous.
No, it was 426 days. 426. I just seen that the other day.
426 days, and you put it on The Rock, and he was disappointed by that. And their storyline was great in the first place.
Well, that's because and you know the only reason they did that is for the Cena and The Rock thing.
Of course.
The problem with CM Punk is, he was great. He was great. He could rock the mic. He was great in the ring.
Yep.
The problem is just go out there and wrestle. We don't want to hear you talking crap.
But that's what made CM Punk what he was.
I'm not talking about talking crap about other wrestlers.
Sure.
We're talking about talking crap about the company.
Oh yeah.
If you talk crap, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear you talk crap about other wrestlers. We want to hear you talk crap about what's going on in the country, whatever. We don't want to hear you talk crap about the company, because guess what? You're still cashing checks from the company.
That's it.
It doesn't matter what crap you talk about the company. You're still getting paid by them.
I will say it was a believable thing, was it not? When he was talking crap about the company and decided to walk away with the title, and then they put the title on John Cena, and then all of a sudden here comes CM Punk. It was a believable storyline that there was some type of heat there between him and Vince and Triple H, and even saying they'll buy their name, Dwayne, and all this other stuff. I mean, there was some genuine heat there, and you could see.
You know what was crazy after that whole little storyline? The thing between him and Brock Lesnar was great.
Yes.
If you go back and you watch that match between him and Brock, that was a great match, and it could have been a bigger story. It should have been a storyline kind of like the Cody Brock storyline, because that Cody and Brock storyline is not over with. I'm gonna tell you that.
I hope it's not.
No, not at all.
Storyline is not over with at all.
I'm just not. I'm not feeling it right now. I don't know what they're doing with Cody. I honestly don't know what they're doing.
And you know what? I definitely have to say this. I'm glad we brought that up.
Yes.
Dominic Mysterio they hate this guy.
He's got heat.
He's got heat right now.
Yes, he's got heat. Can he wrestle? I don't necessarily think he can wrestle, but he's got heat.
But they hate him. They hate his
guts.
Yes,
he's done their job. Yes.
Dude, listen. It was so crazy. I was watching Raw Tuesday morning because I was working Monday night and I didn't get to watch it. And he can't even talk. You can't even hear him over the fans because they're freaking booing him so loud.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my God, this is crazy.
And the turn that he had against his father and everything they've done with him to make him hated has absolutely worked. I'm surprised by it because I thought some of it was kind of a joke. You know, I'm in prison. I'm doing this and doing that. I didn't think it was believable, but
it's working.
It's working. It's definitely working. They know what they're doing.
Yes.
And we'll see how that transpires going forward.
And
Curtis,
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the craziest thing is going to be is, you know, we're going to because you know they're somewhat separated from Mondays and Fridays, but then when they go to the pay-per-views, they're always together at the same shows. So I guarantee you, when we get to like Money in the Bank, there's going to be a scene where they're going to show up together and Dom is going to harass Ray again.
Yep.
And every time you see that, bro, the ratings go through the roof for that.
It's true.
Every single time. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's completely crazy. It's good stuff. Thanks a lot for the call, Curtis. Appreciate the time, my friend. All right?
Yep, no problem.
Have a good one, Curtis. Thank you.
Good stuff. Curtis is always bringing it. Let's go ahead and wrap it up there. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
Yeah, I can be reached at ralphwilliams737@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and I also have a YouTube channel where you can catch The Way I See It and Ralph Williams one-on-one. About a week ago, I just did an interview with Melfort Jr. on my Ralph Williams one-on-one show. He's a former running back for the LA Rams. Also, don't forget my radio show on Tuesday nights with Smoking Jim Frazier on Beaver County Radio, FM 95.7, 99.3, AM 1230, and 1460 AM as well is Beaver County Radio. Next Tuesday night, 5 o'clock, we have Ray Fittipaldo from the Post-Gazette to talk Steelers, and the legend and Amped Up Sports, Leo Haggerty, will be on also there,
nice.
Peter. So there we are. And Peter, I'd like to have you come on sometime because Smoking Jim and I, we do talk wrestling occasionally on the show when we have extra time to do so. I'd like you to come on sometime, talk wrestling with us for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, talk some wrestling, talk some Tampa Bay Buccaneer football, talk
Absolutely.
about the NFL. We can
Absolutely.
definitely do it, my friend. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk.
Hey, thank you, Peter. It's a pleasure. I'll see you next week. Thank you.
See you next week, man. Again, congratulations on getting back in radio. I know it's a bug. I know how excited you are. I can see it in your eyes. It's well deserved. All right. Thanks a lot to all the guests tonight. Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. Thanks to the admin of I Love St. Pete, Stan Author, for his time. Great causes there. We'll definitely get those links up about all that information when it comes to charity and what they're doing for the great people there in the St. Pete region and the Tampa Bay area. And, of course, the bodyguard of the Berg, Ralph Williams, newest Pittsburgh personality on radio. Like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Like I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. And do 3 things for me on this Whacked Out Wednesday. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for the fans of the Sports Web and Tampa Bay sports fans in general, it's your time. Have a great night.